Welcome everyone to our August Explorer Call. I'm Jenine Stanley. I am your Explorer Community Manager. I have with me tonight Ryan Bishop, who is our Explorer Account Manager. Hey, Ryan.
So many of those. You got it right today, though. I'm proud of you.
I
Good
did.
job.
I got. I practiced. Okay.
I can believe that.
I did have to practice that one, but welcome to all of our YouTube fans out there, all of our Zoom fans out there, and we have a really cool and fun show tonight. So what we're going to do, we're going to go over the news that you all received yesterday. And if Troy is able to join us tonight, we will bring him in for a few minutes whenever he is able to get here to talk a little bit more about this news. But basically, we have three things to tell you about. And all of these things will take place. They will go active on Tuesday, August 25th. And those three things are a change to our free 5 minutes. And that change is going to involve the free 5-minute offer being limited to 1 call per day for our guests, those people without a paid account. And then those people who do have paid accounts, our subscribers, will be able to get 1 call for every 4 hours. So within a 4-hour period of time, you'll be able to make 1 free 5-minute call, or up to 5 minutes. And we'll be talking a lot more about this on IraCast. Troy will talk a bit about it and the reasoning behind it. But for now, we wanted to get that on the table for everybody. Now, we realize that's going to be kind of a big change for a lot of people. However, we are giving you some great things to go along with this change. And one of the things is the ability to purchase gift cards. Yay, gift cards! Yes, we had gift cards last December for the holidays, and they were wildly popular. So you will have the ability to purchase gift cards, and those gift cards are going to be in the amounts of $30, $50, and $100. And that will be basically Ira cash that you will apply then to your Ira account. And with that cash, you can buy a monthly plan, a couple months of a plan if you want, if you get enough gift cards. You can also purchase add-on minutes. And right now we have 50 for 50 add-on minutes, but wait, there's more, she says, because the add-on minutes are going to be changing as well. Excuse me. And you are going to be able to get more add-on minutes more quickly, because right now the way it works is you use up about 95% of your paid minutes before you can actually buy add-on minutes. Well, guess what? We turned that, completely flipped it over, and now you only have to use 5% of your planned minutes before you can buy add-on minutes. And the add-on minutes, you will be able to buy 25 add-on minutes for $30, 50 add-on minutes for $50, and 100 add-on minutes for $90. So get excited about those. Those will start next week. But before all of those start, we have some guests tonight, and I am so excited. We wanted to do this show for a while. You guys have asked for it. And with all of the upheaval and whatnot in the world, this is going to be a fun show. So we are traveling to Agent Land tonight. And with us tonight, we have Carla Cane. Hello, Carla.
Hi, Jenine. Thanks for having me.
And Carla is, and I'm going to totally screw up your title because I didn't get to practice it. So I believe you.
I can announce it. I am an agent training specialist as well as an agent. Awesome. I'm the one responsible for getting the new agents all accustomed to the dash and working with the explorers. And then I also still get to be an agent, which is awesome.
Cool. Cool. And she helps people like me get across the street sometimes. we did a traffic training that will live in the annals of Ira forever for agents, actually. That was a while back when we were all out still going and being brave and going out and about places.
That happened?
It did, believe it or not, it did. And we have 3 special guests from Agent Land tonight. Mr. Mark Lawrence. Hello, Mark.
Good evening. How are you today, Jenine?
Hey, we are doing great tonight, and we have Mr. Rob Schmitz. Hello, Rob.
Hello, good evening, Jenine.
And Miss Sarah Rushing. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
All right. So we asked folks to submit questions before we got started, and we got some wonderful questions from people, which we've shared with our panelists. But let's start with Carla and find out. So what is the whole process of becoming an agent from, hiring? What do people have to go through when they get hired?
I can answer that. Well, we like to say that being hired as an Ira agent is more difficult than making it into Harvard. We have Kyle, who is our agent hiring manager, and he is the one that really targets the demographic that we want, has really kind of pinpointed what makes a great agent, and partners with a couple different groups to kind of filter those our way. He handles most of the interview process. Sometimes members of the management team will tap in to help him in an especially busy time. From there, they go to Wendell, who is also part of the agent training and hiring team. And I can't remember Wendell's title, but Wendell does a lot of the back end work, getting them set up in our systems, logins, things like that. And then he also does the introductory workshop, which kind of just explains what Ira is, our history, our kind of mission, things like that. And then they come to me, and then official training starts. It's approximately 2 weeks long, and it's 20 to 30 hours. There is online Brightspace courses, much like college courses. They go in and complete. There's a module on O&M terms. There's a module on navigation, on public transit, on online shopping, new Explorer calls. It's a lot that is basically crammed into a new agent's brain. And we work with several explorers who are trainers, who have been trained how to do that. Janine did that once for us. And we have a pretty good team. We've gone over the things that we need out of those live sessions, different scenarios that could come up. But those are the first time that an agent actually gets their hands on the dash. They've had very extensive Brightspace courses, but that first one's always a little nerve-wracking. So I host those in a Zoom room, and they sign into Dash, and they basically navigate our Explorer trainers. We have anywhere from 2 to 3 agents per session. I am giving feedback as they go along. Sometimes it's nerve-wracking because the Explorer is talking in one ear and I'm talking in the other. But my great team of Explorer trainers have really made those sessions have so much impact. And then they go to their public transit. Also in there, we have what is called a buddy session at the end. And both Mark and Rob, and I think Sarah even has buddied with agents in training. It's basically like their last step before going live by themselves. They will partner with like Rob, Mark, or Sarah and watch them work. And then the reins get handed to the new agent. So it really is their first time, but they have a buddy to kind of, talk them through processes, kind of hold their hand before they go live. So yeah, it's a pretty extensive process, and we have streamlined it over the years. I think the process has gotten even better. And in fact, sharing with the management team today, the training team got lots of kudos and really said that these agents that we are turning out are ready to go, very qualified. After they've been on Dash for about 4 to 5 weeks, we have what's called Agent 2.0, which is even more navigation training, because it is the hardest thing an Ira agent does, but we don't do a whole lot of it, and especially in these last 2 months, we haven't had a lot of navigation. So we do a tune-up, and again, those wonderful Explorer trainers will, we'll have sessions scheduled, and they'll go hit the streets. We do public transit, and then we have an Agent 2.0 Brightspace module, which goes into more detail about, camera manipulation, tricky, maybe street navigation, things like that. There's a really in-depth airport navigation. For me personally, airport is one of the most difficult things as an Ira agent. It's one of the things I love to do the best, but there's so many moving parts, and there's usually a deadline. You have 20 minutes to make a connection. So they get that training afterwards. And currently, I am developing several more courses for agents, kind of like continuing education credits, with TeamViewer and several other things like that. So hopefully we'll have more classes for those agents to even get better prep for you guys.
Excellent. Wow. And that was one of the questions that was sent in, was about how people are trained. Now, given the fact that we operate now in 5 different countries, how does that work during their training? Because I can imagine, you're doing navigating in the US, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a call from Australia, and you're on the other side of, traffic going the wrong direction. How does that work? Because, wow, I think that would be a little crazy.
It takes a little bit of an adjustment. Most of our agents who do that do work overnight, and our overnight crew, if anybody's ever worked with them, is awesome. It's a pretty dedicated crew. There are resources available for all agents, but especially on the overnight crew, the manager of that, make sure that they have those resources. We have kind of common language, when they say this is what they mean. And the one that jumps out to me is jumper means sweater. I didn't know that. Pictures of different crossings. One thing in the UK is that a lot of the crossings are offset. They're not directly at the end of the curve, which was new to me. And I don't work a lot overnight, so I'm not totally familiar with all of them, but we do have resources that, they go through to get prepped for those overnight calls. But for most of it, it really is just common sense. Our agents are bright. They know that traffic travels a different direction. They are Google masters. And if they can't find the name of, that, they'll Google it real quick while navigating you. But yeah, the overnight crew gets to have most of those, foreign calls, which is a lot of fun.
Wow. Great. And we had a question about what maps do you use or train on, or how do you get some of the geographic information that you get?
I prefer to use Google Maps just because I'm really good at that. And with Google Maps, you can pop down into Street View. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can look ahead. You can hover over names of stores and click, and then the website opens up. You can type in different destinations, like in Dash say that they've asked for the next public transit, and the Dash will populate the next one, and they say, no, I don't want subway. Quickly over to Google Maps, and you pull it up, and they have all the different types of transportation you could take. They're pretty similar to what we use in Dash. That's why I like to train on them. There have been a couple times, like an Explorer trainer was able to make the session. And although it doesn't compare to having a live Explorer trainer, I can share my screen and basically kind of walk down the street as if I was the camera holder. Wherever that Google car or the person wearing the Google head harness has been, we can look at that. So that's one way. And of course, that's international. That's a really good way to kind of learn the streets in the UK or Australia.
Oh, wow. Because I was kind of wondering about that. Now, there we go. There's a hands-free way to do things with the Google head harness. Woo. Yeah, I can only imagine. Well, let me see. Let's go to our 3 agents here, and I'm going to ask you kind of all the same 2 questions as we get to know you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you choose Ira as a career. So let's start with Mr. Lawrence.
Well, I had been laid off from my previous profession twice in the span of 2.5 years. And a friend of the family who was an explorer suggested that I apply, that Ira had been looking. And of course, this was way back in the dinosaur era, back when, poor Carla was pretty much the entire training team. And before all the bright space modules and whatnot. And the person said that he thought I would make for a pretty good agent. And so I applied, and here we are, all these many months later, if not years. And I'm still here. So, again, nobody has shown me the door and said, don't come back. So I assume I'm doing something right.
Definitely right. You do
Awesome.
make a good agent.
Yeah. I think we can say that of pretty much, everybody.
Every
who's
single
not
one of the
pretty
people
much,
here.
but every single one of you all are just awesome agents. And so, Mark, what about Ira? What keeps you here? What's the thing that makes you say, I am an Ira agent?
I think everybody starts off with the same basic building block in that you're making a difference. You are, no matter what the call may be, you are either facilitating something or empowering someone or relieving stress. I cannot tell you how many calls that I've taken over the time here where an explorer calls in frustrated because they have been battling something, whether it be a technological hurdle or something in the home or just something out and about in the world that they have tried and some have said, I've been working on this for 2 hours, I can't get it, can you help? And my response is always the same. Oh, don't. We're here to relieve stress. We're here to make life a little easier for you to navigate so that you're not getting frustrated. Don't wait 2 hours to call. Call an hour ago.
Don't be my husband, in other words. Gotcha.
As a guy who never asked directions either, I understand the concept, but it's like, and the fact that, so you start off with that building block, and then, the challenge that you never know what is going to be coming down the pike with the next call. It's an incredibly invigorating job. It's an incredibly satisfying job in that regards. It can also be an incredibly stressful or frustrating job. Depending on whether you can, it's a task that can get completed or not, whether it's something that is just an environment that is challenging, but you throw all of those ingredients together and it makes for a very, very satisfying job. I often tell folks, especially on the Dash Buddy sessions, that it is, if you do the job right as an agent, it is impossible for you to stay in a bad mood, no matter how bad of a day you're having before you come onto the Dash. Because of the can-do spirit of the explorers, because of their energy, their enthusiasm, their appreciation for the service, you simply, if you work for more than an hour or two and you're still in a bad mood, something is really, really wrong with you, my friend.
Gotcha. Well, that is quite awesome to hear. Sarah, let's find out a little bit about you and how you came to Ira and what makes this, how do you find your time at Ira? It's kind of an odd question. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So I actually, my Ira-versary, I think we call it, is this month. So I've officially been with Ira for a year.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah, and it really has flown by. It doesn't even feel like it's been a year. My husband just got discharged from the Army today.
Oh, wow.
So that was actually the reason that I was looking for a job, that I could kind of take with me everywhere I go, because we were constantly moving around.
Sure.
And I was a part of several military spouse online groups, and I saw somebody post about Ira, and I'm like, okay, what's Ira? And so I applied, and then the next day, I got an invitation for an interview, and still without really any idea what the job involved. And so after talking to Kyle and everything, I was like, yeah, this is the job for me. And I love it. It never feels, okay, I won't say never. It rarely ever feels like a job. It's more like, a friend is calling and, hey, what should I do about this? And the thing that I enjoy most is we do everything from the mundane to the super detailed. And it's like, even though we don't know the explorers on a personal level, it feels like has kind of like a family feel, because we're involved with some of the, really important parts of their life, like taking pictures of their brand new baby. And, whereas 3 months ago, I was helping them look on Amazon for baby cribs. Like that was,
oh boy.
it was probably one of the cooler moments I had where I saw an explorer searching for something for a baby. And then, 3 months later,
you get to see, look, there's the baby. And look, they like the crib.
Yeah. and after a while, when you work pretty much the same schedule, you don't ever say like, oh, I remember you. But a lot of times explorers will be like, oh, Sarah, it's been a while. Or, they just kind of know you by your voice. And that's one of the coolest things to me.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I say it often. You guys are total rock stars because all you have to do is mention a first name. And, oh, my goodness, yeah, I love him or her. So, yeah, absolutely. Great. And Sarah is one of the 20% or so of our agents who are military spouses. So we have a lot of military spouse agents, basically around the world, wherever their spouses happen to be stationed, which is handy for us now that we have folks in many, many different time zones. So that is another great thing about Ira and being able to become an agent. So, Rob, how about you? Tell us about yourself and your journey to Ira and with Ira.
Sure. So I'm actually agenting out of Florida, and I had been working in the court systems and mediation for a little over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I started to kind of get into the, I guess that gives up a little bit how old I am. But I kind of got burnt out with the monotony of going through the same things over and over again, and just how stressful it is for the other people in the mediation. Anyone that has ever been to a court knows how stressful that could be.
Yeah.
So the situation there is always very high tense, and it always feels like everyone that walks out, no one's happy. Everyone feels like they lost when they walked out, whether or not they did get something or whatnot. And it came to a point where I just really started to get burned out. And it really started to be depressing more or less. And so I had been searching for jobs, just perusing around. I actually happened to come across Ira, I think on an Indeed forum. I'm not positive, but I think I did. At the time, I've been aging a little over a year. You were sent to the website, I believe, and then you actually took some sort of aptitude test where you did the navigation and so forth and all that. And then I think I got an email. I had gotten to that part, and then we'd moved along from there. That's kind of how I got here, so pretty much. Wow. And then I started off part-time, working a couple hours, I think, like every other agent. And now I've actually pretty much full-time here with Ira.
Awesome.
It's just, I guess the other part of it was just looking for something to make a difference. And the technology of this company which is mind blowing to me. I mean, I had no idea that this existed. And when I came across it, I just kept getting more and more in depth with it and going, what is this? And how's this work? And, the more and more you want, it just kept getting more addictive to me as to the result of it. So it's just been fantastic.
That's great. I think a lot of people don't realize that Ira is a tech company. And we actually heard the phrase today in a meeting, we are a tech company with people. And I think that's really, but people think, oh, they just do it through your phone, like FaceTime. Oh, no, not like FaceTime. Carla, can you tell us just a little bit about kind of the dashboard and what people actually that interface between us and the agent, because there is some technology there, right? There's definitely a sort of VPN type system to protect everybody's security and things like that as we go in and have these interactions.
Sure, I can go over the dashboard a little bit. It is unlike any other piece of software that anybody will use. So like you said, no, it's not like using FaceTime, although I have used that analogy sometimes.
Mhm.
What's unique about the dashboard is when an explorer calls in, they each have a profile, and that will automatically populate. That gives the agent their direction preference, whether they like left and right, clock face, those type of directions. It also will give the agent, whether or not they work with a guide dog or a white cane. Also on there is their name, address, telephone number, which is awesome when we're doing online shopping, that I can get to that super quick.
Yeah.
Some special notes maybe regarding explorers, like I think there's one note that says explorers 6'2", please don't run them into a tree, just so the other agents can kind of see that. Also, we have access to the local time, which has been so helpful with overseas. It's easy to kind of convert in your head the continental US, but to do like UK time zone.
Oh my goodness.
So that's been built in. And then we have like a whole map. Like I said, it's usually a little bit like Google Maps, and it will pinpoint the explorer, usually almost, within 50 feet. And that kind of helps us orient them. There are times that don't work, and that's when an agent's extra special skills kick in and they figure out how to navigate them outside of that. But for the most part, it does locate where the explorer is at. Also within that feature, we can search for routes, or the nearest Starbucks or the nearest Walgreens, things like that. And it'll populate bus routes. It'll populate, if you want to just kind of see all of the Starbucks in the area and kind of gauge the distance to which one to be closer. We can review those with the Explorer, like, and does this address sound familiar? This one, as to figuring out which one that they want. We also have within that all of our free offers. So agents have access to those free offers. And if they call in and somebody says, hey, can you tell me about the job seeker promo? Agents have that within their dash to kind of look up and go over the terms of that. Usually explorers will call in with that coupon activated, but the agents do have access to activate that. We, of course, also have that live feature so that when explorers are at really fun events and they want to share with friends and family, we can activate that live session and, with or without a passcode to make it private or not. One of my favorite one of those was playing an online game, and the explorer had a crowd of people listening, and they would, email her the answers, and then I would assist with that. It was a lot of fun. So we have all of those different features. Of course, we have the ability to snap a picture, and now we can email it to your phone or email it to your email address. We can now edit. That's a new feature, being able to edit the photo. Before we'd have to,
that feature too. Yes.
And that was a request from explorers that our developers kind of met, which was awesome. We have the ability now to text, which was also a request from explorers that we can now use. Sometimes, you are in a quiet place or a library or in a court setting or even at church, and you don't really want to talk out loud, but you need to find the exit. That's been really awesome. A lot of explorers will message us their shopping list, which is so awesome. That way we don't have to kind of keep track of it, and we can mark it off as they go. Or if it's a rather unusually loud area like public transit, they can text us if we're having a hard time, and back and forth as well. So those are all updates that, whether through explorers requests or agents requests, that they are constantly improving. Like Rob was saying, it just keeps getting better and better. Like Mark, I am from, the days of yore with the, the dash. And I just think, back in my day, we had to, and how much more efficient agents can be now with the dash, and looking forward to even getting even faster at it, which is going to be awesome.
Oh, that's great. And that is a great description of the interface. Now, you mentioned that people do have a file or a folder that agents can have access to. And we talked about this a little bit on some of our expedition calls and whatnot. But to let everybody know, you do actually have an Ira folder, and you can work with an agent to put things in your folder that you were going to use either maybe once or twice, or you're going to use them a lot. Especially if they're things you use a lot, it's great to keep them in your folder. But you can keep things like manuals of appliances and your travel itinerary pictures of your luggage. Are there some other examples, Carla, that I'm not thinking of here?
Sure. I actually wanted to touch on that. There's a difference between notes that are just quickly available on Dash. And then there's like the folder, which is more permanent. We have a lot of explorers who are attending college classes, and that is a series of 5 to 6 logins. And so they'll have us save that instead of needing to, say them all out to us. With that Google folder, you also can work with your agent to keep it organized. We have some explorers who have folders upon folders upon folders, and they're very detailed. Like, I want you to name this folder this, and then in there, make sure this is in there. And that actually is really helpful so that the next agent can then understand the organizational sequence. But yeah, we have manuals, we have pictures of luggage in there so that, for our frequent travelers, okay, my picture of my luggage is inside my Google folder. And so, knowing the difference between the folder and then, like I said, just the notes. The notes would be, like I said, he's 6'2", make sure you don't hit something, or maybe they're working on a big project. You just put notes for the day. This is what we're working on, do it like this, but it's not something that needs to be, saved forever. You can work with your agent to tell them, I want this in the temporary notes section, or I want this in the permanent folders. And that's, a lot of explorers don't know that. And it's really, because especially with continuity, is that the right word?
Continuity, yeah.
Continuity, thank you. If it's all in your Google folder, all agents have access to that once they're logged into the Dash and good to go. And, if you put really good notes in there and work with your agent to get good notes, and the next agent that comes on, say, after the change of guard at the hour, can just pick up right where they're at. One project that was really fun was scanning in all of the sheets of a book that they only had temporary access for. I think they had checked it out from a library. And then, so that was all in the Google folder. So then, every day they call in for like 20 or 30 minutes to read a couple chapters, and they knew right where the last agent took off. And so that was a really good example of keeping that consistent through agents.
Oh, wow. That's good to know. And for security's sake, folks, these folders are only accessible on a call. So that's the only time you and an agent can get into that folder. So those are extremely secure. Nobody else looks at those, anything like that. So you can, now, if you're wondering, I wonder what's in my folder. Well, you can absolutely call up an agent and ask them to go through the folder with you, because there may be some things in there that, you know what, I don't need that anymore. That's a trip I took 2 years ago. I don't think I'm ever going there again. So, if that's something you would like to do with an agent, absolutely give us a call and we can go through that with you. So moving on, I wanted to ask you guys as agents, one of the questions that someone asked, of course, and it's the question that, I always ask you all on the podcast. What was probably one of your most interesting, and you can pick more than one if you'd like, experiences as an agent? And we'll start with Sarah on this one.
My favorite calls are always like the touristy calls. I've gotten a couple in Ireland, which is where I've always wanted to go.
Oh, how fun.
And then I've gotten, what was it called? Is it Big Sur in California?
Ooh.
Like where you...
Mm-hmm.
So they asked me to describe Big Sur, and I was like, gosh, it's like so breathtaking. It's hard to really find the words, but then, of course you find the words because that's your job.
I love that. I think that should be a slogan. Ira is about finding the words.
Yeah. Great. And probably my favorite about one of the Ireland calls was it was on either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And they were out exploring, but they wanted to eat at a pub. And I guess it's like law that all pubs have to be closed either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day in Ireland. And so I was trying to search to find one that they could go to. And then I had to go, and I'm in the US, so I had to go to like Ireland websites looking for, information. And then I found the law that, legally they had to be closed. It was just
Oh,
a neat
no.
experience. I mean, obviously not neat that they couldn't go to a pub, but
It's pretty cool though that you can travel literally around the world in like a shift.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's that always amazed me. And places that look pretty ordinary to you and I, oh my gosh, you're in New Zealand, whoa, or you're in Canada, or you're in a part of the US that somebody has never been to before.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
I
All
always
right.
sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I always like whenever I get calls from explorers who are in an area that I'm super familiar with.
Ooh.
And so then I'm like, they'll ask something and I don't even have to hunt for it. I'm like, nope, I know where you're going.
I had that experience at an airport once. Somebody said, "Oh, that's my local airport. I can tell you exactly where to go." Oh, that was great. And then, people find out that agents are from their hometown. We had an explorer who wrote in and said, I found out this agent lives in my hometown, and that was really fun. So, great. Well, let's go over to Rob and find out about some of your fun experiences and really amazing things that you've had on calls.
Okay, I got a couple on the top of my head. One I think was just that it was moving, was Christmas Eve of this year, just being home and agenting and not able to be at that moment with my family. One of the explorers happened to be with his wife, and they were in Colorado, and they wanted to drive around to get description of Christmas lights.
Oh.
And it was beautiful that night as well, being in Colorado.
Oh, I bet.
And they drove around and they started to talk to me about it. And I was just giving them a little bit of background on what was going on with me and all that. And they probably spent 2 hours driving around with me describing Christmas lights. And to me, that was really moving because I knew that they were doing a little bit of that for me as well, because I wasn't able to be out. I was agenting.
Oh.
So I thought that was really memorable. And this is just a funny one to me, and I never will forget it. It was probably one of my first calls. It had to be the top 30 calls. It was an explorer that called, and she was in a little bit of a panic, and she said that she thought her guide dog had brought a rat in the house.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure. I'm like, okay, maybe. So she walks me over to the dog bed, and there's I first think it's a toy. I'm like, no, it's got to be a dog toy. We're not sure. She's like, no, it can't be. It cannot be. It's got to be a rat. Is it alive? So I'm like, I have no idea. So why don't you poke it? It didn't move. So then we started to move to the point of she's getting a dustpan and she rolls it over, and I'm trying to guide her to get the rat onto the dustpan and describing to her to don't tilt the dustpan too far back towards you or it's going to fall on your arm.
Yuck.
And so we ended up able to get it on there after a couple squeaks from her, and she was just fantastic. She was laughing a little bit, she's nervous, and we get outside because it was a little dark in there. And when we get out, that tail had to be about 1.5 feet long, and that rat was literally, I had never seen a rat that big in my entire life.
Wow.
We dumped it in the garbage can. And she actually said, she's like, this should be an Ira commercial. I'm like, for sure. 100%. That's the biggest rat I've ever seen. So,
oh my gosh. Wow.
That's wonderful.
I was going to say that's one way. Oh wow! I'm just thinking of that would be a great demo video. Okay.
Yes, for sure.
Oh yeah.
That's a call for the agents. I'm telling you. I
was just going to say. I'm like, now, if anybody is ever nervous about calling about anything, there you go. Rob has handled a giant rat. So
yes.
If you get Rob, you've got a pro.
There's nothing.
Yes. There you go. Mm-hmm.
I'm going from rock star to superhero on that one. I have had to clean up big old citrus rats before from places where I lived, and then it's not fun. Oh, yuck. So I don't even think Mark can top that, but maybe he can. I'm not.
No, I will not even try to top that one, Jenine. But I do come armed with fresh material.
Okay.
For some of our longtime explorers, they may remember your podcasts in one iteration or
Yes.
another, and I believe they're all still available
They
online.
sure are.
So if you explorers have not gone back and through to listen to some of Janine's past podcasts with agents and other topics, I would recommend you spend the afternoon and do so.
That's
Highly
right.
entertaining, and you'll hear my top 3 from back then, which really haven't changed, but I don't like to repeat, so I will offer up one or maybe 2 new ones here that stand out just because of the effect with the Explorer. And one was just a month ago, or at least it seems like it was a month ago. Maybe it was 2 now. At times,
It's COVID time now, Mark.
yes, COVID time just is very
It could be
elastic.
one
Can't
day
tell time.
or,
Yeah.
6 months.
It's very Doctor Who time concept right now. But they called in and they were assembled. This was an Explorer and husband and wife, and it turns out they were newlyweds. They had only been married for a month.
Oh.
So they were still very much in, and probably still are in, that whole honeymoon glow, just relishing each other's company. And they were spending the day putting together this giant headboard. And we're not talking just a flat board. We're talking the kind that has bookshelves in it, knick-knack shelves, various
Fancy.
various nooks of various shapes. I think it may have even had a mirror in it. I'm not sure at this point. And so we spent about 2.5 hours in that call, and they were working as a team. They kept all the parts where they needed to, which was nice. It made my job a lot easier. But just getting to experience the joy that they were having of tackling that project together is something that is going to, as it makes it stand out. And of course, then a month later they called back in and said, "Oh yes, and just want to let you know the headboard is working perfectly. It's just everything. Where we had no leftover parts, everything was great. We're just, and it was,
Oh wow!
So that was a nice one there. And I'll offer a navigation call that's really kind of not one. This was right at the start of the pandemic, before it actually had taken full effect here, but Great Britain had shut down. And this was a call from Heathrow. And it was the middle of the...
That's a fun airport.
Yes, it is. It can be.
That's a huge airport.
Yes, that also can be true. But on this occasion, because Great Britain had already shut down, it was also an incredibly empty airport.
Oh, wow.
I bet that was weird.
Had to be
was
weird.
Highly weird, which is why I'm bringing it up now. You could actually hear the cane taps on the floor echoing off the walls of the corridor.
Whoa.
Wow.
It was
Creepy.
that empty. I think we were on that call for about 40 minutes as he was going from security to his gate.
And
I
that
think
does
we
not
saw
happen.
10 people.
Wow.
10 people, and that may have been generous.
Oh, that's just eerie.
And considering how chaotic airport environments are, and how busy they are, and how much visual clutter there is for us as agents as an explorer going through an airport. That experience will probably outlast every other airport navigation call I will ever and have taken and will ever take in Ira, because it was such an eerie scene.
That's just it. I'm just thinking of like some apocalyptic movie or something. Oh, wow. Ooh.
No zombies were sighted, thankfully.
Or giant rats.
And I've been through airports during the pandemic, and it is exactly as Mark describes, eerie. It is almost frightening. I went through Dallas, and
oh wow,
you don't go through Dallas and not see people. And this one, I mean, it said something. Even the Whataburger in the airport was closed, and that generally doesn't happen.
I was just gonna say. Wow. And for those who don't know, that is a Dallas, Texas landmark. So if that place is closed, oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow. So I'm going to go to kind of a different topic here that folks have sent in. And people asked, I believe it was, let me find out who asked here. And I'm not finding the name, but this person wanted to know, is there anything that we can do as explorers to make your job easier in assisting us? And I'm probably going to go back to Carla for this one, then we'll kind of hit everybody of some things that kind of help people out in assisting us.
Yeah, one thing that kind of struck me this week, I know that all of those agents out there are rock stars and superheroes. However, call in and need 4 or 5 things done. Either let us, list them and organize them for ourselves. Especially if it involves like team viewer numbers that you're reading off to us, and then you tell us about the website, and we're still typing the team viewer numbers. Of course, agents should work with you and are taught, this is what I'm doing. I'm typing in the numbers. I'm clicking connect. Okay, now I'm putting your password so that you do know what's going on, and having like maybe an organized list, maybe utilizing that message feature. Also, that's why I pointed out the difference between notes and Google folders. Be active. That is your folder. Take control of it. It is all right to ask the agent to do things a certain way so that the next time you call in, that agent, you're able to guide them through it the same way. So yeah, just listing off of it's multiple things you have to do. Either have a list prepared that you can send us. Also, shopping and things like that online is always easier for us through TeamViewer. So if you don't have TeamViewer downloaded, call in, perhaps an agent can work with you to download it. However, it is easy for you to download. Go to teamviewer.com. And if you have that, it's so much easier because all the passwords are stored on your computer. All of the logins are usually stored. And that just makes it so much easier. However, I know sometimes you're on the bus headed home and you just want to grab something from Amazon. Give us a call. We'll log in on our side. We'll open up an incognito window, keep all of your stuff, safe and secure, log out before that's done. But those are a couple things that I think really would make it a little bit easier for those really detailed things that you call in. Our agents can do it all, and some of you explorers definitely put us through the work, so you know what we're capable of, and you push us to our limits, and that's awesome.
And I have to really testify to this one about TeamViewer because I didn't even really think about it before I started the task. But my home security system, one of the batteries died in one of the devices. And I took the battery out and I looked at it. Wow, that's a weird battery. I have no idea what this is. Okay, I'll call Ira. So I initially thought at first, all right, I'll just call and I'll get the type of battery and I'll go look it up. But then I realized, once I got that type of battery, why don't I just have them go on Amazon and look it up and send me the link for it via email? So actually the agent did that, sent me the link, and then I was able to go on my phone into my email, click on that link, and voila, I was there in my Amazon app and I could just order that battery. So that was, 1, 2, 3. Now, I could have done that had I been prepared. I could have pulled up my Amazon account on my computer and just, done it right there with the agent. I wasn't quite thinking on that one, but
Janine, I want to chime in. That was actually
awesome. Me. I thought it was Rob. I was thinking, I wonder if that was Rob.
It certainly was. Yep.
And that was such a smooth task. I was like, my husband came back in and said, okay, what are we going to do about this? I said, it's already taken care of. No problem.
And for the record, that was a very weird looking battery. We had to take a double look at that. So.
It was definitely a strange one. And I don't know how you guys read round objects, but you guys are amazing at that, I have to say. So how do you read round objects? Rob, I'll throw that one up to you because that is not an easy thing. I remember when I could see, I had trouble reading round things like pill bottles and things like that.
Well, typically just getting the Explorer to roll it. So I try to keep my eyes fixated on it from just the roll of it. Or so once I catch the first word of it, I'm just following my eyes across the bottle as you're rotating around, as you're rolling it.
So it's kind of like a teleprompter then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'd probably be the best description for that. Sometimes we got to take photos of it if it's something that's much smaller. There are certainly pill bottles, like you said, that have incredibly small writing and they're wrapped completely around a bottle.
Oh, yeah.
That, that may take a picture or two sometimes, maybe not, just depends. Yeah, that's pretty much how we go about doing that.
Awesome. Any tips from you? Anything you can think of?
I kind of want to just, I guess, would touch on what Carla said, I guess, and just expand a little bit on that. That I think sometimes clarity of when an explorer calls in to give the agent, clarity on what the task that they are trying to accomplish. Sometimes I think that it's hard for agents to kind of gauge exactly where we're going with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that moment it can be frustrating for both the explorer and the agent when we're all trying to guess on what exactly it is we're trying to accomplish. And sometimes it actually there's a time constraint on it. And by the time you find that out, we have burned some time before we've actually even figured out what exactly it is we're trying to do. And then the only other thing I could think of really off the top of my head would be sometimes, and I find this kind of odd and funny. I don't really know how to respond to this, but sometimes as an agent, I pick up a phone call and it almost sounds like the explorer's surprised that we answered. And so then I guess that, then they're not really relatively prepared for it. It may be something that they've got, they want to do some team viewer work, that was brought up, and they could be, outside at the mailbox or whatnot, and they're shocked, and then they walk in, they got to turn the computer on and so forth and all that. And it just baffles me sometimes to think that, it's like, that we as agents are ready to go. The moment we take a call, we're ready to knock this task out and do our best we can.
Awesome. And I was going to say, I know that our wait time on calls has been a little bit longer lately, but not quite that longer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. Sarah and Mark, do you guys have any tips for folks?
Sarah, if you want to go first.
I don't really have any tips per se. I'm just always super appreciative whenever explorers are I'm pretty quick on my feet. I think I can say that about all the agents. We're really quick on our feet. But just whenever they are patient with us, so we can kind of orient ourselves to the specific situation, because even though we are being the eyes, it's still not a full replacement for being there in person and seeing it. So I'm just always super appreciative whenever explorers are just patient while I figure out what's going on also.
Great. And Mark, how about you?
I would echo probably both of Sarah and Rob. Particularly if it's a street navigation task. If you're in an urban area or if you're in a mall, those types of tasks do usually require a little visual reconnoitering before suggesting a course of action. If you as an explorer already know exactly where you are, in terms of the storefront or what's the business is you're in front of. Because as you said earlier, GPS, or actually I think Carla said it earlier, GPS is very, very precise in many environments. The big city is not one of them.
Yeah.
The big city, Carla's right, it will be within 50 feet.
Yep.
However, if you're in Philadelphia, New York, Boston, San Francisco, 50 feet could be any one of the four corners you're at the intersection of. And
halfway down the next block with that canyon.
Be up on the other side of the street as well. So I would just, urge or, offer patience that I think many times our explorers are so used to Ira being so instant in terms of what its technology can do and what we as agents can do, and we're rightfully proud of that. But there are certain environments where we do need to take that extra minute or two and have an explorer look in a couple of different directions with the camera so that we're frantically cross-checking the visuals with the map, with the visual Google Street Maps, so we can exactly figure out which corner you're on, because a lot of corners in cities, frankly, look a lot alike.
I bet they do, yes.
And the other factor is, again, as everyone's been talking about, is just, have that initial request thought out. It's very easy if you want to get an expiration date on a food item. But if you have a multiple step task, to just have those thoughts collected before the call in. It's not so much that we need to have that in order to make sense of what's going to happen, but it can dramatically cut down the time at the front end of the call. As Rob said, there are many calls where it takes a full 5 minutes to get started on the task, and that may not have been an issue in the past or at the present, but it may very well be an issue moving forward. And even for our explorers who have the large minute plans, the free five has been a cushion, as it were. And I can remember when I started, this was just at the phase out time of the unlimited plans, which tells people exactly how long I've been around. And explorers were intensely I'm losing the word, intense ownership of every minute they had. Mm-hmm. Where they did not want to waste a second with small talk or anything else. And I think that some tasks require that a long lead-in time to pin down exactly what it is. But I think a lot of tasks, explorers can expedite their own calls with just having that extra 10 or 15 seconds of thought before they call in to, okay, here's exactly what I want, as opposed to, I'm not sure what I want. I know where I want to get. And then the explorer and the agent work together to figure out how to get from where we are to where you want to go. And, I would just recommend that. But, I have been impressed unfailingly on a daily basis with the patience overall of our Explorer group, whether they be guests or longtime subscribers, whether they're people I've talked with daily or people I haven't talked with ever before. Mm-hmm. And the graciousness and the good-naturedness and the patience that they show, not only to us but just in general, is never ceases to amaze me.
And that is a wonderful way to go out of tonight's call. We want to thank all of you. And before we do that, I have to roll over here to my magic Braille calendar, Ryan's favorite part of the show.
It is my favorite part of the show.
Let me hold up my Braille calendar. See that on YouTube? There's my Braille calendar. Happy day. I have to get another right month now. And then I'm going to go down here to September. And our next call will be on September 16th. That is Wednesday the 16th. A couple things we have coming up for you. Next Friday, the 28th, we have our first afternoon at the museum.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
I really am excited for that.
So cool. So if you like museums, if you really want to learn, if you have some kiddos who want to learn some stuff, maybe they are homeschooling, whatever this school year is going to be so bizarre and different for everybody, I think. But feel free to join us. That'll be right live on YouTube, and we will have a Zoom link for that call as well. So you can join us by phone if you want. And that will be Explorer Stephanie Watts and an agent. And they, this time around, are going to check out the African American Museum of Iowa. And Iowa, you say? How interesting. Well, you will find out how interesting when we get into our afternoon at the museum. And that is going to be at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday the 28th, which will be 1:00 Pacific Time. Sorry, not Central, Pacific Time. And you will be receiving an email all about that on Monday. Now, remember, on Tuesday the 25th, the new 5-minute limits kick in. And today you will notice for both the iOS and Android apps an update. And in this update, we have put in all of the technical stuff that we need to put in those timers for you on the free 5 minutes, whether you are a guest and doing the 1 call per day, or whether you're on a paid plan and doing that 1 call every, every 4 hours. There will also be information in the app about purchasing add-on minutes and purchasing gift cards. Yay,
I'm
gift
so
cards.
excited for gift cards.
Brian and his team are psyched about gift cards. They are ready.
We really are. Gift cards,
Ready
I
to
think,
do.
have been something we've been looking forward to for a while, and I'm really excited to bring that back to you guys. I know it's been a really high-end request, and we are really excited to bring that back for you guys. So,
and somebody asked, can I buy a gift card for myself? Well, sure, absolutely.
Of course you
and
can.
What are they going to need to buy a gift card, Ryan? They're going to need one crucial piece of information about buying a gift card.
Absolutely. They are going to need the telephone number on your Ira account. So as long as you have the correct number on your Ira account when you're logging into the app, whoever is buying your gift card needs to know that information in order to buy a gift card for you. And so as long as they have that information, they can buy that gift card.
And they can even buy that gift card if you don't have an Ira account yet, because we'll send you a link to get set up. And then you can use your gift card for either buying a plan if you don't have one, or if you have a plan, you can use it to either pay for your next month or buy some add-on minutes, which never go away as long as you have that paid plan. So we appreciate everybody's support, and we will talk to you next month on the 16th. We want to thank our agents tonight, Carla Cane. Hey, Carla. Yay.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. Mark Lawrence.
Always good to chat with you, Jenine. I hope we'll do it again in another 6 or 7 months.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to have to be
if not sooner.
It's going to have to be sooner than that. Come on.
You got it.
Also, I would recommend real quickly, I saw a meme going around. You were proud of your planner. There was a meme going around on social media on my feed, and I'm sure others. I'm not buying a 2021 planner until I see a trailer.
I like that a lot. I definitely like that. Sarah Rushing, thank you so much, Sarah, for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. And last but definitely not least, Rob Schmitz. Thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you so much. It was been a pleasure. Very nice talking with everyone.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody out there on YouTube and Zoom. Again, this has been Jenine Stanley and my co-pilot, Ryan Bishop.
Thank you, everybody. It was such a pleasure to get to talk to all the agents today. I am so glad we were able to bring that to you, and I look forward to the next time in the museums.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Stay well, and we'll talk to you in September.